Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you had a great week. So we had a pretty, even though we had volatile moves during the day, but this is pretty much a lackluster in terms of looking at the bigger picture. Like we just kept chopping between 5,350 to like 5,230 with like an 80, 100 point range. We were chopping in between on Friday. We were finally able to see some Thursday, Friday, we were able to see some bullish momentum. And now you can see we're trying to open up the week above this previous range that we were struggling at. So that is a good sign. As long as good sign in the sense it's a good sign for an oversold bounce. As long as you can stay over this level here at 5,359, we had two options. It was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. So, it is looking very likely that we're likely in an ABC chart. Some people may, like, we also know this is a trend line. Some people may be like, hey, could this be a wave five? Like, yeah, it could be, but we'll get there when we get there. So, this oversold bounce, the next level above 5,350 would be 5,426. And if that breaks, we also have a level at 5,487. Like this ABC could, so I'm going to go through alternate scenarios. This ABC could push up to 5,350 before we come back to the downside.
This short clip is presented by Chase. Fast track your learning curve and profit with our Leduc Trading Slack community. It is ideal for beginners who love the chase. Chase provides access to not only Samantha's daily market thoughts and chase trades, but also her fabulous team of live stage mentors who share their actual trades and risk management stops across equities, options, and futures. You also get access to custom trade support when you need it. For more information, visit www.leductrading.com/chase.
This again, you may ask me like you had a wave four last week. Yeah, I did, but as you can see here, like this is where I would have expected it to like kind of have a follow through to the downside, but we did. You can see here we went sideways and then we started getting bought up. And that's when, I was like, yeah, this is not likely going to be a wave five if we keep getting defended on decent volume. So that's why I'm leaning more like it could. You can see here, we are up right above the zero point 0.5 fib. So for this to be a wave forward to the downside, like I said, as long as we stay over 5,350, we could push up into like 5,430 and 5,485 at least, right? We could have that oversold bounce. But if we start to break back below this 5,350 level, then we could still very much. What would a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 look like? It would look like this. Though right now it is not highly probable that it could be so. Like if it is, you will have very aggressive selling before you find support near this 5,000 level. So yeah, I am still aware that we could have a wave five, but it is looking very likely we could go up. And then you may ask me like, can you give me a bull version? Yeah, I can. Like this is your 1, 2. Again, like I said, if we break over this 5,395,4, right? If we can get over this 5,490, 5,500, then I'm willing to consider that we could push all the way back up to make a new high. Till you can at least get over key levels, it's not very likely. And I'm going to show that. The reason again, I mentioned this 24 level on VIX that's important. You can see we couldn't even hold 24. We pushed right into 20, and we also know that we do have a gap to fill till 18. So until that gap fills at 18, we again, Wix 18, kind of see how that correlates to the market bounce. And again, once we do fill the gap, Wix will kind of have that oversold bounce. So yeah, I would watch for the bounce to likely end at that level. So yeah, and again, if you were to draw a sideways trend line, you can see that this channel, you could kind of call it a channel, and the gap will kind of align at 18 to 17.7. So that's where you kind of need to get cautious still. And I think the market could have an oversold bounce. So I am still thinking that this bounce does get rejected and come back down. If we can get over 5,500, then I will see where, the wicks is, where the dollar is, how it's going before, adding this bull chart. Like I'm just going to keep this on my chart for reference. So yeah, that's all I have. Even QQQ, you can see that we couldn't stay below and we are opening above. So again, why that is important is if I zoom out, you can see that this is the bottom of the channel. So if we couldn't, right, break back down, then we are very likely, right? We do know that QQQ has an unfilled gap, right? It has two gaps, right? We'll get to the second gap later, but for now, it does have a gap up until 459. So at the very least, right? You can see here that once we open into the gap, we have, room all the way into 459. And if, again, it's not likely going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see here, we are opening right against the 452 fib. Again, same as SPY. If we reject and break 447, then we could, even though it's not likely, we could have a wave 5 to trick everybody out. But yeah, if this is an ABC, right, this is your A, we're going to push up. We're very likely going to push over the gap, right? Because the 0.5 is a 462 and the 0.32 is 4. So somewhere between that might be your B wave before, you come down for that C wave and bounce. So yeah, I'm still watching for that. And again, if you can start to break over 475, then, again, it does have one more gap right here at like 495. So I mean, obviously all of those will get tapped. But for now, I am crucial level. Let's see what we do at this trend line. We will have a little bounce, but will that bounce lead to a good rally, or is it just going to go right? We have discussed how this like 22 level is resistance. So will we reject the 22 and come back down? That will kind of decide how the market kind of progresses. So yeah, that's all I have in terms of the market. Let's look at NVDA. So I think NVDA has kind of been lagging the broader bounce, right? So I feel as long as we can stay over 105 and kind of you can see here, this is the demand zone. As long as we can base here, I do think that it's kind of lagging the broader bounce, right? That the rest of the oversold stocks have been kind of having. So I would say that, at the bare minimum, whether I'm bullish or bearish, I did think that we can bounce into like 112, 113, maybe even into like 120, right? An oversold bounce. So that's why I have calls on NVIDIA. It is kind of, you can see here, it's kind of playing out the same pattern as the market, except the market is ahead, right? And you can see here, NVIDIA is holding here. So, I mean, at minimum 110, right? 112. So that's why I have NVIDIA calls. Like at least maybe Monday, Tuesday, we have the bounce. So yeah, the next one I have is net. Again, this is an if then. You can see that we are rejecting this downtrend resistance on net. And also if I zoom out, you'll be able to see bigger picture. This was our channel. We rejected and now we're just kind of hovering around. So you can see here, this 76 is an important demand level here. So we start to break 76, then we have a lot of room to the downside on net. Like it's easily going to come down into 56. So that's kind of why, like you can see here, this level here is important. You can see here we're struggling to get over. If we can break over 78, 79, we can have that bounce into 85, right? But if it's going to continue to reject, you will start to see selling into 74, 73. And eventually, right, if 67 breaks, then 56 is a given. So kind of why I have net, like it could be a lucrative trade if things start to break up or break down. The next one I have is Google. And again, it does have a gap to fill. Again, just like QQQ, if it's a failed breakout, we will come back all the way inside. But as long as we can stay over 163.5, it does have a gap to fill into 166.5. And the fib is at 167. So that could be a nice an intraday or two move, 2% move to the upside. So like the rest of the market, it is sort of lagging the more oversold bounce the rest of the stocks have. So that's kind of why I have Google. As long as you stay over 162, I could see it move into 166, 167, maybe even 172. So yeah, that's why I have Google on this week's watch list. And again, if I zoom out, you can see it's just bouncing off a demand zone. So again, this could be year 1, year 2, pushing up. It's hovering in a wave 4 before it goes up for that wave 5. And again, you can already see five legs on Google. So it's going up for that B wave on Google right now. So yeah, that's why I have Google again. And last but not the least, yeah, I have Futu. Again, this is very similar to what we have here. Futu is going to be very similar to what we have on net is we have broken down. We're trying to retest. Maybe it goes up to fill the gap at 60, but you can see here, this was channel all the way from 2022, right? And we finally broke down 2 years later. So, I mean, even if it does, you can keep an eye on this because even if it does have that little more bounce, right, this would be a prime candidate to at least come down to 44. This is very similar to Airbnb that I was screaming about for a week. The minute you retest and reject, you will have massive selling. So you could see something very similar in Futu, except buy a little bit of time on it because it could have a little bit more oversold bounce. If it starts to break 56, then it should easily be able to come down to 46 next. That's all I have for this week. I hope you have a great day.
Subscribe to Leduc Trading YouTube channel for more Wolf's weekly wave list videos and other content.